Now, the best defense that Mike Lindell could use to win his defamation case is to prove that he's telling the truth, because truth is open and shut, absolute defense against defamation. But instead, Lindell's attorneys have suggested they're going to try to convince the jury that it doesn't matter if Coloradans really rigged the election, only that Mike Lindell believed that Coloradans rigged the election. Our Marshall Zellinger explains the legal difference between telling the truth and thinking you're telling the truth.
When Mike Lindell takes the stand on Monday in his defamation trial, he does not need to prove to the jury that he was telling the truth about anything he said about former Dominion Voting Systems executive Eric Coomer. Instead, his legal strategy is to show the jury he believed he was telling the truth.
If you're the defendant, you have to show a reasonable person would have thought that it was a true statement.
Constitutional attorney Christopher Jackson helped explain the difference between the truth and believing that what you're saying is true.
The bottom line question that the jury is going to have to answer is just whether or not the defendant was negligent in making these false statements.
On Monday, before Lindell promised the judge he would no longer do interviews during the trial, I asked him about proving his claims to be true. What are you going to show in court that says, I was just telling the truth the whole time, and here's the proof of the 2020 election?
This is not what this trial is about. First of all, I will show that I did make, they said that I went with reckless statements or whatever back then, okay? For 4.5 years, so for even back then, I've spent over $40 million, my own money, doing due diligence.
The next day in court, attorneys for Coomer showed a May 9th, 2021 frank speech broadcast that is no longer available online. The transcript of that broadcast includes Lindell saying about Coomer, quote, "Yeah, Eric Coomer, you are treasonous. You are a traitor to the United States of America. These are things that I have evidence of. The evidence is there."
The defendants could say that they believe that the evidence was actually there, and maybe it turned out that's not true, but they reasonably thought it was at that time. That would be enough, but you'd have to convince a jury that the belief you had was reasonable.
From Coomer's standpoint, he needs the jury to believe Lindell was negligent with his statements about Coomer in the 2020 election. Lindell's team has to convince the jury that a reasonable person in the same situation would think similarly to him. And you just need, there's 8 jurors.
It's interesting because the people, Lindell's defense team is okay with people testifying, yeah, that Mike Lindell, man, he'll believe anything, you know, means well, but he'll believe anything. They kind of almost welcome that, it seems, in court.
Sure, because all you need is one juror to believe that side, that, yeah, I kind of believe that he thought he was telling the truth, and I learned in federal court there's no hung jury. It's basically you have a decision, or it's a mistrial, meaning like you could try to bring it back at a later time. But it just takes one, and not 12 this time, there's 8. I don't know.
Even today, we heard from more people who are working for Mike Lindell that said, hey, man, looked at your evidence no good. And they said what Lindell did is he blew up at them about it. All right, Marshall, thank you.